Success in understanding profound content can awaken people, shedding light on many things that ordinary individuals often ponder. Simple reasoning, yet it takes a lifetime to practice so many truths you've never fully grasped. Only through experience can you truly feel their depth. One class of people can control another because they hold secret ideologies and the rules of the game unknown to the rest. The law of good and evil is merely a bridge between the two sides. Order is something created by the strong, and the weak must obey. This video takes over an hour to watch, but a whole day to absorb and a lifetime to feel, to comprehend. Can change your life forever. This content challenges your thinking. So, take the time to listen seriously. I know your life is busy, yet what I'm saying isn't easy to take in, especially hard to master. If you only listen once, my advice is to watch it to the end. Listen again and again when you're free or doing chores. Share it and save the playlist for your convenience. I guarantee within a few short months, your mindset will grow tremendously, reaching a new height. The wisdom of the ancients greets you warmly, dear friends. From childhood to adulthood, no one tells you what a human is, what human nature is. You interact with people the most, yet remain the most estranged from them. Since ancient times, the study of human nature has been a secret discipline of kings and nobles, never widely taught. The study of human nature is a system of thought long sealed away, deliberately hidden. It's the key to survival that successful people never reveal to you, kept for themselves and passed down to their descendants. Why are you hurt by others, deceived? Why are you trapped in emotions, exploited? Why do you struggle in life, find earning money so hard? Why are you betrayed, misled? All these things often stem from your ignorance of human nature. This isn't an exaggeration, and right now, I'll explain each one to you. Humans are a species living in herds, draped in the cloak of civilization. All are easily lost, swept up in society's common trends. Do you know why priests in the West are called shepherds? They guide and herd the stray sheep. In every era, there exist two systems of knowledge: external knowledge and internal knowledge. External knowledge teaches you how to be an obedient sheep, while internal knowledge comprises strategies and tactics about human nature, reserved for kings and the wealthy. They keep internal knowledge for themselves and their heirs, never making it public, while external knowledge is beautifully adorned, spread to the masses, to make them compliant and submissive. History changes, but one thing never does. 90% of people are always exploited. Without sheep, what would wolves eat? Without the poor, what would the rich feast on? The rich will teach their children about human nature and cunning, while the poor only send their kids to skill classes. Your child may dance well, but in the end only entertains the rich. No matter how high your child's grades, they're just a cog in the corporate machine, toiling day and night for the wealthy. Even if your child learns various skills, their way of earning money as adults is like a girl increasingly serving clients. Only by serving clients can they make money. Without clients, there's no income. The rich understand people. They're the madams, controlling a vast number of prostitutes, taking everything from the sheep for their own gain. They have money with or without clients. Meanwhile, you and your child become sheep for the rich. From ancient times to now, there's an unchanging rule. Those who labor with their minds will rule. Those who labor with their hands will be ruled. This world isn't for the talented nor the powerful, but for those who understand human nature. Money and power may shift, but human nature is what never changes through the ages. If up to now you still use vague perceptions and unclear experiences to deal with people, if you've achieved nothing yet, if your life is stuck, unable to move forward, if you want to escape a fate controlled by others, trapped at the bottom of the food chain, then don't look away. The truth about human nature will be revealed to you, and strategies of human nature will be decoded. You'll fully see the tricks of the wicked and the hypocrites of this world, and we'll teach you how to deal with them, because we'll help you uncover the traps behind so-called righteousness and morality. You'll clearly understand how to make your child or yourself become a wolf, standing at the top of the food chain, because we'll unravel the schemes that control so many, the secrets rulers never disclose, soon to be yours to grasp. How is your perception of human nature formed? When you were born, you were like a blank sheet of paper, pure, without thoughts, without concepts, without awareness, without value judgments. From birth until you learn language and begin to perceive the world, there's a long period. In that time, the people you meet vary, and your life changes too. Those you encounter include but aren't limited to your parents, teachers, neighbors, friends, societal opinions, ideas from books, customs, movies, television, and so on. It's these people you meet who write different contents onto that pristine blank sheet. To put it chillingly, your thoughts aren't truly yours, but ideas planted by those around you since childhood. Biological genes come from heredity, while intellectual genes come from cultivation. Recall when you were little, how did your teacher teach you to recognize the word human? The teacher would write human on the board, then ask you to read it over and over and copy it 10 times at home. No matter how many years have passed, as soon as someone writes human, you'll unhesitatingly read it correctly. Now imagine if back then the teacher wrote ghost instead of human. What then? Reading this, do you feel a slight jolt? That relentless repetition is how you absorb the beliefs of those around you, and gradually they root themselves in your mind. You become like those around you, thinking and acting the same, and that silently shapes your thoughts and character. Ultimately, it leads to your value judgments about everything in life. Surely, if you read human as ghost, it wouldn't cause direct harm. But if, from the start, you were planted with wrong ideas, those misguided thoughts would become the map guiding your life. Imagine what would happen if you navigated your life with a flawed map. That's truly terrifying. Essentially, from the moment you start school, everyone is influenced and brainwashed. You are a copy of those around you, a replica of the collective. The philosopher Haenel Long famously said, "Watch your thoughts, for they become your words. Watch your words, for they become your actions. Watch your actions, for they become your habits. Watch your habits, for they become your character. Watch your character, for in the end, it becomes your destiny." In short, your thoughts will determine your fate. This is the fearsome power of intellectual genes. Beliefs carry a class nature, and intellectual genes do too. The secret behind one class ruling another lies in their possession of different thoughts and beliefs. The mindset of a wolf creates wolves. The mindset of a sheep creates sheep. The mindset of the rich creates the rich. And the mindset of the poor creates the poor. If you're born in America, you'll be familiar with Christmas. If you're born in Vietnam, you'll know Tet. Humans are still humans, but when implanted with different intellectual genes, they exhibit different behaviors and lifestyles. Once the beliefs, deemed right by those around you from childhood to adulthood, are deeply ingrained in your mind, even sandpaper couldn't erase them. The deeper a belief embeds in your psyche, whatever you consider true about it, will ultimately become your personal reality. It might even be an unconscious expression of your subconscious, as in Freud's theory. Human consciousness forms later, and language and text are the tools that shape it. Thus, your native language, dialect, and speech habits often reflect back on your inner thoughts. At its core, the difference between one person and another, the disparity in perception, stems from the intellectual genes they inherit. Inheriting the mindset of an ordinary person, repeating ordinary behaviors, yields only an ordinary life with no remarkable outcome. To achieve the right results, you first need right actions. To have right actions, you first need right thoughts. What are the Rendu channels of thought? They are your values and perception, buried deep in your subconscious. Let me emphasize this. It doesn't mean those around you since childhood treated you poorly. They just thought they were passing down what's right. They're people who love you like parents, teachers, who always believe they're doing what's best for you because they've lived longer and think they're more experienced than you. But they don't realize they too are victims of ignorance about human nature and society, lacking wisdom in human strategies. In summary, from the moment you're born, you've been shaped by influences from all sides, and you've viewed people, judged human nature, based on the perceptions implanted in your mind. This is the process of forming your early understanding of humans and human nature. For over 95% of people, most beliefs you accept stem from Confucian thought, propagated, spread, and continued for over 2,000 years. So, I'm not surprised that what I share gets so much pushback. Check the comments on my content about human nature, you'll see. Confucian thought is like a dish needing water to taste good. I don't deny water, but if your mind's already flooded with it, now you need some salt. So what's the salt here? For most raised solely on Confucian education, salt is the study of human nature and the art of strategy. As mentioned earlier, true masters know how to cultivate multiple ideologies and flexibly switch between them in different situations. 2 rules of human nature known only to a few. Below are truths that only a rare few understand, and they might make you uncomfortable, but they're all true. From childhood to now, what you've heard and seen is really just a play. In society, there are 2 sets of rules, one for the day and one for the night. By day, people speak fine words, show righteousness and morality, each acting like a gentleman. But at night, when no one sees, some begin doing things that can't be exposed to light. Some people use daytime rules as a mere facade. When darkness falls, they start acting silently, following the rules of the shadows. Meanwhile, others, deceived by those who preach righteousness and morality, stick only to daytime rules, and thus remain poor their whole lives. One class can dominate another because they hold secret ideologies and game rules unknown to the other. One yin, one yang, one white, one black, create this vibrant, multifaceted world. And in society, 2 sets of rules correspond to 2 ideologies. Confucianism is yang, bright, white, asserting humans are inherently good, widely known to the masses. Legalism is yin, dark, black, claiming humans are inherently evil, understood by those at the top. These 2 ideologies are polar opposites, like the difference between 2 animals in nature, wolves and sheep. From childhood to now, what you learned in school were daytime rules. What those around you taught was Confucian thought. It's not that they didn't want to tell you about nighttime rules, but often, they didn't even know they existed. Once again, let me stress, your thoughts aren't yours, but what those around you planted since you were small. Your initial perception of human nature was shaped by what those around you and your environment taught you. Next, you need to understand the history of 3 major schools of thought: Confucianism, legalism, and Taoism. You might wonder why go back to the past and recount such a long history. Because to grasp the truth of human nature, you must understand society's foundational structure, wisdom spanning thousands of years. Without an objective view of history, it's hard to comprehend the ideology you've been taught for decades, and even harder to lift the veil on human nature's truth. The secrets never widely shared by the elite are about to be revealed to you. Let's start with the simplest explanation of ancient Chinese schools of thought. I believe everyone knows ancient philosophers outshine modern ones. This is a peculiar oddity. Consider this, in terms of food's richness and nutrition, antiquity can't match modernity. In terms of complete knowledge systems, antiquity falls short of modernity. In brain evolution, antiquity lags behind modernity. In population, antiquity had tens of millions, modernity has billions. Antiquity doesn't compare. You could say, in every condition and factor, modernity triumphs completely over antiquity. But why, then, did antiquity produce more outstanding figures than modernity? Like Aristotle, Socrates, Plato, Laozi, Confucius, Han Fizi, Mencius, Giguzi, countless exceptional minds. While in modernity, the brilliant grow fewer, even prompting the world to suggest learning from the ancients. To explain why modern people aren't as exceptional as ancients, let's look to ancient Asia for familiarity. First step, find the clue. Across history, which era produced the most outstanding figures? I think you've guessed it. Yes, it's the Spring and Autumn and Warring States period. Why did so many exceptional people emerge then? The answer is war. Back then, hundreds of states, big and small, fought daily, each researching how to destroy their foes. Then, recording these methods in writing, didn't they become brilliant ideologies? So why did antiquity have so many thinkers? Because of war. And why doesn't modernity? Because we live in relatively peaceful times. In wartime, to win, we need exceptional thinkers. In peace, to progress, we need more high-tech talent. Next, let's discuss the Spring and Autumn and Warring States period, an era of intellectual explosion. How do we apply these schools' ideologies to our businesses? I know few can clearly explain Confucianism, legalism, and Taoism, schools that ruled feudal regimes for millennia. I'll use the simplest way to explain, ensuring everyone understands. You might feel, with so many ideologies in these schools, you don't know where to start. Actually, it's simple. They split into three main types. Grasp these three and you'll understand the rest. Back then, these schools had three main doctrines, each with a different stance on tradition. The first supported tradition, believing it's so good it's beyond words. The second rejected tradition, thinking it's truly awful. The third was indifferent, asking, "What's tradition? Can you eat it? Good or bad? What's it to me?" These three attitudes match Confucianism, legalism, and Taoism. Other schools you can see as variants of these three, since attitudes toward tradition have only these three possibilities. We can rephrase these attitudes in three clearer ways. The first, supporting tradition, called revivalism. They believe humans ruin everything by straying from tradition. Today's solution is to swiftly return to it. This is Confucianism's stance. The second, abandoning tradition, called innovation. Not happiness, but forging a new future. They believe humans ruin things by not ditching bothersome traditions. The current fix is striving to create new rules. This is legalism's stance. Both attitudes carry a proactive, progressive spirit, just with totally opposite solutions. Because Confucianism and legalism arose from the Central Plains with dense populations and complex order. Without an engaged mindset, you couldn't solve issues. But in the vast, sparsely populated, mountainous Jingzhou region, a wholly different attitude emerged: detachment. The first is revivalism, the second innovation, the third detachment. Detachment here isn't logging off, it means transcending the mundane. This is Taoism's stance. They believe things go wrong because people overthink joining the mundane. Stop chasing worldly achievements, and you'll instantly feel how vast this world is. Whether tradition is good, useful, or not, Taoism says it doesn't matter. Actually, not just in antiquity do you see these three attitudes. Even today, facing a problem, we often take these same three stances. Next, we'll dive deeper into these three schools. Let's start with Confucianism. Confucius believed this revivalist approach meant curbing personal impulses, acting per the demands of tradition's rituals. Only then could you reach Confucianism's highest ideal. We all know, during the Warring States, fighting was fierce, an era of collapsed rituals, chaotic music. Sticking to these rites seemed a bit rigid. So, back then, Confucius traveled to states marketing his Confucian product. Monarchs saw it. Drilling troops all day left no time. How could they practice rituals? Thus, at that time, Confucius and Mencius couldn't find work. So, we can draw a basic conclusion. Confucianism isn't effective in wartime, where black or white cats, whichever catches mice, is the good cat. Now, let's look at legalism. Their view was, are you people sick? Your Confucian ideas are too outdated. Everyone's fighting non-stop, your ideas are clearly useless. Yet you preach all day. The era's totally changed, you don't see the shift, clinging to past traditions. You're basically a bunch of useless books, unable to succeed, just making this world chaotic. Ever heard the story of hugging a tree waiting for rabbits? It's from Han Fizi's work, a key legalist figure. Han Fizi meant using ancient methods to manage the present is as dumb as waiting for rabbits under a tree. What did legalists think should be done? To enrich and strengthen a nation, replace rituals with laws. See, in that era, legal reform grew common in states. Any state that reformed grew strong. Like Shangyang, Li Kuei, Wu Qi, Shen Buhai, these legalist figures rose on that era's political stage. To enforce laws well, rulers had to use cunning tactics to control people. These are legalism's three treasures: law, technique, power, meaning laws, strategies, and circumstances. The emperor's art of control began forming in this era. Interestingly, legalists often weren't welcome at home. Whether Shangyang or the Li clan, they succeeded in other states. Because Emperors needed legalist officials with no local base, so they'd obey orders. If emperors used local legalists, they'd have roots, and knowing law, technique, power too well, could become threats emperors feared. Those who left their homelands, like drifting leaves, alone, their fame and wealth, all relied on the emperor, and emperors loved such people most. So, legalists could only achieve greatness abroad. See, many companies, when reforming, hire external consultants. Why? They don't fear offending anyone. They don't work there. Don't face them daily. Next, let's talk Taoism. Whatever Confucianism and legalism thought, from Jingzhou-born Taoist view, Central Plains folk were too entangled in trifles. Taoism believed worldly life is just SOSO, what's worth fighting for. This detached attitude shines clear in a Zhuangzi story. Zhuangzi had a friend, Hui Shi, a prime minister in Wei. Passing through Wei, Zhuangzi planned to visit Hui Shi. Someone snitched to Hui Shi, saying Zhuangzi came to steal his prime minister post. Hearing this, Hui Shi panicked, ordering a nationwide 3-day manhunt to drive Zhuangzi out. Hearing this, Zhuangzi went to Hui Shi himself and told a story. A phoenix flew from the south to the North Sea. Along the way, unless it was a parasol tree, it wouldn't rest. Unless it was bamboo fruit, it wouldn't eat. Unless it was sweet spring water, it wouldn't drink. On the way, it met an owl who just nabbed a dead rat. Seeing the phoenix, the owl tried scaring it off, fearing it'd steal its dead rat. After the tale, Zhuangzi looked at Hui Shi and said, "You think I covet your prime minister gig that much?" Then he left. Know this, Hui Shi wasn't ordinary either. The idiom wealth of 5 carts of books describes him. So, on Taoism, no more need saying this story alone shows its depth and transcendence. So, per Taoism, how do you handle worldly affairs well? Another Taoist icon, Laozi, would counter, handle what? The worst thing is people like you always wanting to do stuff. You think blindly acting can make the world better, but actually, it's folks like you who ruin it. Taoism believes the solution now is to drop the urge to do something, let things flow naturally, let the world and people move freely, and all will sort itself out. Look at nature, thousands of years unmanaged, it's still fine, right? This is Taoism's natural law, rule by inaction. China's and neighbors' governance for millennia has been nothing but steering via these 3 ideologies: Confucianism, legalism, Taoism. So, in business, how should we apply them? First step, understand how Confucianism, legalism, and Taoism were used in historical dynasties. If we grasp how China's empire wielded these 3 schools for thousands of years, we can apply them effectively in our firms. In the spring and autumn and warring states period, hundreds of states, big and small, battled each other, including 7 major ones: Qi, Chu, Zhao, Yan, Han, Wei, Qin. We all know, in the end, Qin Shi Huang defeated the others, unifying all. Let's discuss why Qin could unite China. In that era, war scale was huge for kings. Boosting a nation's war efficiency became the top strategy. So, Confucianism, legalism, Taoism, which ideology best raised war efficiency? Kings would pick that one. No doubt, legalism had the edge in boosting war efficiency. Confucianism was too outdated, Taoism too detached. Legalism told kings, tradition's useless now, change is needed. To enrich and strengthen a state, reform is key. Before reforms in a state, social status was set by lineage. Nobles, generation after generation, stayed noble. Poor folk, generation after generation, stayed poor. This couldn't spark people's fighting spirit, especially not the lower classes. So, legalism said, change this to social status determined by how many heads you bring back from battle. Lineage takes a back seat. When this system kicked in, it worked wonders, spurring everyone to fight, sharply boosting war efficiency. When legalism laid out this logic, other states followed the reform model. Wei was the first to reform with Li Kuei's famous overhaul. Before, Wei was weak. After, they instantly became a superpower, beating then unreformed Qin. Other states saw this, had no choice, started reforming, and Wei's edge gradually faded. Wei's decline wasn't just external. King Hui of Wei self-sabotaged, rejecting Xiangyang, job hunting in Wei. Xiangyang, jobless there, had no choice went to Qin, and thus came Xiangyang's famed reforms. Qin took legalism's logic to the extreme. Though Qin reformed latest, they rose and finally unified all. Here, you should see why the school's debate ultimately lost to legalism. But after Qin unified the realm, they kept using legalism's logic, and in just over a decade, collapsed. Why? Simple. Qin's Xiangyang reforms aimed mainly to boost war efficiency. Bluntly put, they relied on plundering other states to sustain themselves. When Qin unified all, other states were gone. Who could they plunder? Yet, the court still needed funds, officials needed merits. In this bind, Qin could only exploit its people to feed the regime. This was obvious, and such a system couldn't last long. So, Great Qin fell in its second generation. Next came the Han after Qin. After Xiangyu, the Western Chu overlord, seized the realm, he split the lands. This was Xiangyu's dumb move. Imagine, when Xiangyu divided the realm, didn't warlords re-emerge? For warlords, legalism's logic could apply again. Why? They could plunder other states anew. The result, we know, Liu Bang reunited the realm. So, bosses, remember, we can use legalism's logic to seize the realm, but never to rule it. As they say, you can swiftly take the realm, but not swiftly govern it. After Liu Bang unified all, he knew well, sticking to legalism's path would repeat Qin's downfall. So he ditched Qin's legalist approach. He pondered long and finally picked Taoism. You're surely shocked. Why Taoism? I'll break it down. See, Qin Shi Huang unified the realm, a rich second generation, built on ancestors' gains. As emperor, who dare oppose him? So he boldly followed legalism to fight. Now look at Liu Bang. We know before rising he was a commoner. Liu Bang, with a band of brothers, fought to take the realm. Strictly speaking, Liu Bang and these brothers weren't boss and underlings, but partners. Before them, Liu Bang had no overwhelming authority. So we get why Liu Bang chose Taoism's rule by inaction. It was a choice with no choice. Plus, after becoming emperor, he gave 2/3 of the realm to these partners. Here, I know you're wondering, why did Xiangyu's warlord split lead to Liu Bang wiping him out? While Liu Bang's split didn't see warlords attack him. Let's clarify, Liu Bang's division was a forced temporary move, and with tech and resource advances, he could inherit Qin's systems. For example, Xiangyang had a law. If a household had 2 grown men yet hadn't split, their taxes doubled. Another rule, all villages must have different surnames. No same clan cohabitation. These aimed to shatter society completely, breaking big clans into small families. This raised the cost for warlord kings to rally civil forces against him. Great for imperial rule. So, the core reason Han lasted centuries was inheriting much of Qin's systems, called Han inherits Qin's structure. Thus, bosses, when your underling's power grows, you must disperse it, split their authority, good for your control. Liu Bang's rule by inaction was a forced choice amid strong partners. Sure enough, after enthronement, he spent 8 years, gradually eliminating threatening warlord kings. As the empire just ended war, people were exhausted, needing recovery. He chose Taoism's rule by inaction to rest with them. Simply put, oh, everyone's tired. I won't be too strict. Rest well for decades, folks. But even resting, work diligently, grow the economy. Okay? Sure enough, decades later, China entered its first golden age, the Wenjing rule. People found, in special times, doing nothing beats heavy-handed governance. When Emperor Wu of Han took the throne, Han's 7th emperor, we know he was a brilliant, far-sighted ruler in Chinese history. Clearly, Taoism's rule by inaction didn't suit him, so he had to choose between Confucianism and legalism. We know legalism's logic was unfeasible, following it risked Qin's fate. Thus, Confucianism was the best pick. Hence, Emperor Wu's famed era, with dismissing all schools, exalting Confucianism alone. From then, the basic form of Chinese emperor's rule for 2,000 years took shape, called Outer Confucian, Inner Legalist, or Yang Confucian, Yin Legalist. What's that mean? Simply, The state preached Confucianism to the masses, like 3 bonds, 5 constants: benevolence, righteousness, propriety, wisdom, trust, to make people follow these rites, easing imperial control. But in specific system design, it still followed legalism's logic. So, for emperors, using legalism to manage people worked, and Confucianism to comfort them made sense, hitting 2 birds with 1 stone. Hearing this, bosses, you should have your answer. To manage a team well, pursue outer Confucian, inner legalist. Outwardly, use Confucian ideals, but at core, use legalist mechanisms. At startup stage, don't overthink, just use legalism. See how Qin rose, follow suit. In startup phase, as long as it's not immoral or illegal, rake in cash wildly. In this rapid growth stage, don't set too many rules or limits. Let your team shine freely, each with their talents. As the saying goes, white cat or black, if it catches mice, it's good. Keep the company alive first. If your firm grows huge, you need outer Confucian, inner legalist. Think, if your company swells with hundreds, thousands, if everyone has their own agenda, rebellion's not far. There's a saying, a soldier who doesn't want to be a general isn't a good soldier. But ever thought, if every soldier wants to be general, wouldn't the general fear? When a company grows big, systems mature, what's most needed is team execution. And execution work doesn't need creativity. Like at KFC, it's procedural, fry time for potatoes, wings, oil temp, all tightly controlled. Such tasks need compliance, not thinking. If every employee's too smart with their own ideas, your execution power drops sharply. Using history as a mirror, we see rise and fall. From this, we can sum up 3 points for business management. 1. In history, only the Wunjing rule used Taoist thought. So, bosses in business don't think of using Taoism. 2. Confucian thought is key for a firm's cohesion. It makes staff obedient, so handy for control. We can see Confucianism as company culture. 3. Legalist thought drives a firm's growth outside. There's always rivals and foes, so you must use legalism anytime. Final conclusion. Only outer Confucian, inner legalist, can truly make a firm strong and big. Stress this. Among Confucianism, legalism, Taoism, no ideologies higher or lower. What matters is fit with context and era. Master the right ideology at the right time in the right conditions and it'll unleash max power. Confucianism believes humans are innately good, focusing on social duty. Principles like 3 bonds, 5 constants, and ethical conduct rules push people to take responsibility for society, maintaining harmony in self, family, and community. Legalism holds human nature's evil, stressing results. In legalism's legal system, laws are designed to tap human potential, boost territorial expansion, and spur people to achieve fame and careers. Meanwhile, Taoism upholds rule by inaction and natural law, urging us to live naturally, downplaying all. Taoism says, emulate nature, everything runs by heaven and earth's laws. Confucianism, legalism, Taoism suit life's different stages. Youth fits Confucianism for initial buildup. Midlife should hone legalism for career breakthroughs. Old age should cultivate Taoism to fulfill letting go. A truly outstanding person wields both upright and sly sides. They'll use Confucianism with the good, legalism with the bad. A real master is half ambitious, half tolerant, using Confucianism for family joy, legalism for career building, Taoism for calm, natural living. A truly exceptional person is half Buddha, half demon, with Buddha's compassion and an emperor's cunning, missing neither. Backtracking, after this long analysis, you might wonder, does this tie to human nature? Don't worry, next, I'll unveil the truth about human nature you've never known. Confucian thought is like flowery fists, embroidered kicks. Legalist thought like free fighting. Life's a battle, but you only know boxing and kicking while the rich study free fighting. Here's the truth known to few. For 5,000 years, 2 thought systems have persisted. One, based on belief that human nature's good per Confucius and Mencius way. One, based on the view human nature's evil per legalism's creed. Is Confucius thought wholly right? Mention Confucius, many think saint. I agree, his ideas have greatness. But today, many Confucian notions clearly don't fit. We learn from anyone, not blindly copying all, but critically, taking the good, ditching the bad. So, what's wrong with Confucius thought? The biggest issue is imprisoning human thinking. In Confucius ideology, women had no voice, couldn't study, couldn't step outside, couldn't speak at home. Confucius preached rights everywhere, 3 bonds, 5 constants, dividing people into ranks. Punishment doesn't reach nobles, rights don't descend to commoners, meaning high officials erring needn't face penalty, just ritual restraint suffices. But for commoners, no need for rights. If they err, punishment hits. He strove to guard a slave society's class system, proposing, if the ruler orders a vassal's death, dying not is disloyal. If a father orders a son's death, dying not is unfilial. To protect ruling power, demanding people blindly obey monarchical rules. Even if the emperor erred gravely, officials and people must comply, or be deemed violators of 3 bonds, 5 constants, rebellious traitors. This shut people's thinking, stripping independent thought. The result: feudal dynasties decayed, emperors deluded, people ignorant, invaded and oppressed by foreign powers. Confucius thought, education's main outcome, made people more obedient, rule-abiding, accepting their lowly fate, docile. Confucianism says human nature's good, all about benevolence and morality, requiring each to treat others so, to be noble, gentlemanly, ladylike. But reality is, those believing humans are naturally kind, end up duped by fakes. Trusting benevolence and morality, they're hurt by those preaching ethics outwardly, but selfish inwardly. Kindness, benevolence, morality, all these are just stylish strikes, sounding nice, looking pretty, but impractical. While true masters are stylish outside, secretly training free fighting. Confucian thought matches those flashy, eye-pleasing strikes. Its trait: fine words, lovely form, but useless in real combat, like traditional martial arts stylish moves. Most people are poor precisely because their minds brim with Confucius and Mencius ideas, always spouting fine reasoning. Meanwhile, the rich are rich because their minds hold legalism's ideas, harsh-sounding but highly practical in combat. When stylish strikes face free fighting, what happens? Many have heard or seen the tragic bout of a Chinese traditional martial arts master. Named Ma Baoguo, he fought an amateur free fighter. They clashed in the ring. The two had vast gaps in fame and experience. Before the match, the ref repeatedly urged Ma Baoguo to go easy. Yet, under 30 seconds in, Ma Baoguo was knocked down thrice, finally collapsing, unable to rise, shocking the public. Traditional martial arts with millennia of history against rule-free free fighting, lost so easily. Many suspected Ma Baoguo was a fraud. I think, though boastful, if he were truly a Khan, he wouldn't dare fight. Truth is, any traditional martial art facing free fighting can't hold up. This isn't disparaging tradition. It's that traditional arts are built on specific rules, meaning foes must follow set patterns to strike. But free fighting's rules have no fixed moves, aiming to crush the opponent entirely. Traditional arts can't beat free fighting, an inevitable outcome, as their moves don't fit modern ring rules. The poor strive hard yet stay poor, because their thinking doesn't match society's wealth rules. Many minds carry millennia-old Confucian thought with lofty reasoning, stylish strikes, sounding good, looking nice. Those ideas in ancient times held meaning since all followed common rules to strike. Just stop at enough as a noble, you'd rank high in society. But today's rules have shifted. You step into a free ring, noble or not doesn't matter. With money and strength, you're noble. No one follows noble rules to strike anymore. So your instant defeat is unavoidable. Legalist thought is like free fighting, with icons like Han Fizi and Shang Yang. Han Fizi held basic human ties, rest solely on profit. He said, with profit, even distant ties grow close. But once profit's harmed, even father and son can become sworn foes. Men at 50 still lust, while wives past 30 start fading. So, given chance, husbands will surely seek new ones. Think feelings are reliable? Per him, no man lacks lust. If they do, it's just they lack means to indulge. Han Fizi also said, in ancient times, no real bond existed between emperors and vassals. They constantly schemed. Morality and benevolence, mere empty words. Profit is the truth behind all. Confucian thought works only without profit clashes. Once profit's at stake, it's useless. In romance, Confucianism might work. But post-marriage, when spouses clash over profit, if you stick to Confucianism, just being kind and giving all your money, you'll get hurt. When kids are small, Confucianism's fine. But as they grow, you age. If you keep to it, sharing wealth, you'll suffer in old age. Using profit to force others to treat you right, that's true morality. Just hoping others treat you right, without offering them profit, is fake morality. Confucianism is an idealized dream, legalism the path to that dream. Without it, all's empty talk. What you hear, see is a game. This world is built of two-order systems. The first is fairness, justice, morality, rights. The second is a profit war hiding behind the first. The first's morality is just form, the second's profit is the substance. Knowledge we've touched since childhood, mostly the first's formal rules. Humans always calculate profit inwardly, that's the second's profit rules. The skilled use the first as a tool to hit the second's goals. Almost everyone dons a glittering moral cloak, then seeks every way to profit themselves. Moral rules are what all say aloud, profit rules are what all hold in heart. So, never let the first system blind you, use the second to see through things. For instance, don't just hear what someone says, watch what they do. The first system is a trap. You can't treat it as a way to settle down, succeed, or fame. To truly grasp people's actions, analyze via the second system, that's profit analysis. Profit is the main driver of human activity, and profit analysis never goes outdated. Take an example around me. Once, I went with Teacher Lam to Quang Ninh. With lots of luggage, unfamiliar with the place, at the hotel lobby, Teacher Lam slipped the bellhop 500,000 VND as a tip to carry our bags. For days after, that staffer was super eager with us. Travel plans, luggage, all arranged perfectly. Back home, in a lecture, he cited this, telling students, want someone's help? First, know what you can offer them. Beyond profit, no ties form among strangers. Money is the best expression. 500,000 isn't much, but it beats sweet talk or fake pleasing by far. That's value exchange. Every event you must quickly split into profit sides. Each move you make harms whose profit boosts whose. Those gaining profit are your friends. Those losing, your foes. Judge friend-foe ties that way. No eternal friends, only eternal profit. When profit shifts, foes and friends switch fast too. Likewise, in a firm, each decision made must analyze. Who benefits, who's hurt? Those aligned in profit surely form a profit-sharing block. Those hurt surely form an alliance. Yet, both sides will hoist the first system's moral flag to fight for the second's profit goals. This is the truth, just you didn't know before. Not knowing the truth doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Confucianism, as the masses' main educational creed, has ruled thousands of years. This thought has sunk deep into people's minds, so from childhood you've had to read, copy, memorize it. Most knowledge you've touched is about fairness, justice, morality, rights, truth, goodness, beauty. You're taught humans are innately kind, grateful, valuing bonds and duty, of noble virtue. In childhood, most ties around you were truly pure and selfless, like teacher-student, classmates, or first love. But one thing you must realize. As a kid, these ties rarely involved big profit clashes. That setting was like a glass world, where Confucius Mencius humans are good idea seemed to work. Yet, step into society, ties start tying to profit, growing realer. Then, you'll see human behavior totally opposite what you knew. You might face friends borrowing cash and not repaying, lovers betraying, partners flipping, colleagues backstabbing. Even siblings fighting over inheritance, ignoring parents. These acts fully contradict the humans are good notion you were taught young. Your view of human nature wavers, and you fall into the pain of doing good yet getting hurt. In truth, society's a bloody jungle, where the strong win, the weak lose, the sole unchangeable rule. Behind all is a profit struggle. Humans, at bottom, are just clothed animals. Human interactions are basically testing each other's strength and limits to decide responses. People fear the strong. Bullying the weak is humanity's nature. Under money, profit, and power's pull, even kinship, love, or friendship can turn unreliable. Survival is a life or death bout. If you only use flowery fists, embroidered kicks, while the top dogs wield free fighting, your clash's end will be dire. Light case, you're bruised all over, heavy, you're shattered. As noted before, this world runs on two rule sets. The first is fairness, justice, morality, rights, truth, goodness, beauty. The second is a profit fight behind the first. On morality and feelings, it's just surface. The second's profit is the real core. From childhood, you've mostly touched the surface rules, while society's top dogs always tally profit rules in their minds. They often preach morality and feelings just to mask the real profit they aim for. They wear morality and feelings' fine cloak, but quietly scheme for self-profit. If by now you still don't get it, I'll say it blunter. For over 90% of regular folks, shaped by decades of Confucian education, morality and feelings nearly become a lifelong curse they can't break. While for masters and fake saints, morality and feelings are just tools and means to rule others. How to break morality and feelings bonds, I'll decode next, stay tuned. Why most stay poor is their minds brim with Confucius-Mencius thought, only talking fine ideals. The rich are rich with minds full of legalist thought, harsh-sounding but ultra-effective in reality. Masters view people solely via profit, one glance. They pierce morality and feelings' fake veil. Meanwhile, the weak are bound daily by hollow things like feelings, love, friendship, unreliable stuff. Remember, this doesn't mean ditch morality and feelings, just don't let them weigh you down. Why the poor stay poor is the inevitable result when one's thought doesn't fit society's rules. The truth running the world lies in the second rule set. The first is like politeness between two people. Sometimes, chatting with someone, you know you're spouting nonsense and they're spewing lies. Both know it's social fluff, yet say it deadpan. That's the first rule set's birth. Of course, however society evolves, it must respect the first set as norm, treat it as orthodoxy. This keeps humans from seeming too pragmatic, though truth is even more pragmatic than reality. Because lovely things, hope, and positive energy can outwardly spur better progress. Giguzi, Confucius' contemporary, with earth-shaking talent, couldn't spread wide like Confucius. Why? His theory fits the second rule set, fit for quiet use, not public flaunting. No but don't say points to the second set. It's usable but never to be voiced. Those profiting from it won't speak either. This is the metaphor art in human nature study, viewing it reversely. Now, society's management structure with outer Confucian, inner legalist form has run millennia and still holds today. The veil over human nature's truth is slowly lifting. You must grasp one concept. What emperors learned and what people learned are total opposites. This must repeat thrice for its weight. To deeply know, decode, and master human nature, follow two principles. 1. Dialectically rethink beliefs you once held true. 2. Start accepting, or at least not rejecting, beliefs you once deemed wrong. I must stress, contrarian thoughts aren't bad. Like a knife, criminals kill with it, doctors save with it. One thought a Buddha, one a demon. You can't blame the knife. Knives lack good or evil, their morality hinges on the user's values. Likewise, human nature's just a tool, no good or evil. Understand, follow, master it. It becomes a tool for your rise. But resist, criticize, or resent it. It turns into chains, stunting your growth. I'll say again, grasping human nature's dark side is to reach its light. Seeing its evil is to hold your own goodness. So, before fully stepping into human nature's unpredictable world, you must tackle one prerequisite. Reset your honest thinking. Without resetting your mind, you'll find human nature stuff at best hard to grasp, except at worst jarring, deeply uneasy. You won't absorb over 1% of human nature knowledge. On human nature, what you like isn't what you truly need, what you dislike is what you lack and need. The scariest poverty isn't material lack, but a mind and perception fallen poor. Material poverty may last a while, but poor mind and perception can stretch 3 generations. You don't need to leave vast wealth for the next generation. Just leave your kids a vision, a mindset, a perception that's a fortune. Poverty of mind and perception is a legacy, wanted or not, it's etched into their lives. Conversely, a rich mind and perception is a legacy too. Consciously pass it on, it'll follow your kids lifelong. This is the most precious asset you can leave them, worth more than savings, property, bonds, or gold. But if you're ignorant of human nature, what will you pass to your kids? Ignorance, perhaps?